Everybody. We go live, and all of a sudden DJ and I get talking about it. We got all
Oh
these different
man,
strategies and ideas coming in, and then all of a sudden, bang, it's way past our time. So here
yes.
we are. Hey, how do we know? Like when I say how do we know our sales process is working? How do we know it's working and we're really at the peak of closing? We are at the highest ratio we can. How do we know? Better yet, how do we implement something that might work better? That's the topic for today.
To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly.
Brother, I just realized that was a pretty crappy hook.
I, no,
I
listen,
thought I had it. It was in my head, and I'm like, I
it
got
was
this, man. I got this, and I just didn't deliver on it. So that's
you,
shit.
you're
That's
right there,
brutal.
but I love our intro. Anyways, hi everybody. Hey, Jeff is there already. What's up, Jeff?
Jeffrey's already in here. Jeff, yes,
I
sir.
love it.
How you doing, brother?
Oh man, so
So,
obviously, how does it work? How do we know? How do we know?
huh, I mean,
How do we?
here's the big question, and this is kind of over the last little bit, what's really got my brain going. How do we know? Is we have a process, right? So every salesperson kind of adopts this process that works for them for their personality. And I know myself, and I could talk to myself. I'm sure Jeffrey will jump in, and yourself, DJ, is
Yeah.
we have this sales process. It's like, okay, it works, but how do we know? Like, really, how do we know? And I take this strategy from digital marketing. Like
Mhm.
when you market, you really don't know what works best until you try something and say you convert at 3%. Then you try something else that converts at 5%. You try something else that converts at 1%. And you try something else that converts at 7%. And you keep jumping. You're like, okay, so that worked, that worked, that worked. I'm going to double down on those strategies. All right. Makes sense from a
Okay. Yeah.
perspective of what works best. But I think in sales, and I think, and the only thing I can really drill it down to is like, this is our pocketbook, and when we feel something's working, it's like we're afraid to change it. And I don't know about you, but like
Yes.
I go to
Yes.
a
Yes. Yes.
restaurant, I typically order the same damn thing over and over again because
Oh my God.
I'm afraid to order something else just in case it's not as good as what I normally order, and then I'm disappointed, right? And
Oh yeah, that's me. I do the same thing, and Maggie hates it. Let me tell you, she hates it. Why do you get the same thing? I do the same thing. If I like it and I know that I like it there, I'm not switching. What if I hate
okay,
it?
but here's the deal. How do you know
How do
the
you know?
other
Yes,
thing
you gotta
isn't
try.
going to
You
like
gotta
dazzle
try.
your taste
You
buds
have to
even
try.
more?
Yes, you have to try.
But there's that, like Swiss chalet. Perfect example of Swiss chalet. Quarter chicken, white meat, extra fries, extra gravy. Don't screw me on the fries because I always get screwed on the fries. That's literally what I say every time I go in. But I tried their ribs and they're really good. And I know this isn't a food show, but
Oh
um,
god. Oh, but
but
it's so
in the
true, and
essence
it's so
is
funny.
it is.
Uh,
And think about it. So we have a style, we have a process, we have in essence we got a sequence structure, right? How do we know if we don't flip it on its head, will that work better? Meaning, okay, so you make 100
mhm.
calls, and this is the way my brain works. And some people think that I'm overly analytical. I mean, I know I've had conversations with people, and they're like, "Well, why are you in the business?" And I'm like, "Oh my god!" And they're like, "Whoa, that's deep." Like, I'm in the business to make money, and I'm like, "No, no, no, you don't understand. Like this is needed in the environment." And my whole belief when I'm moving business or I'm helping somebody is what is the end goal and like that feeling that they get, right? So like when I was moving in like granite and quartz, it wasn't just moving granite and quartz. It was I'm facilitating that couple, that individual, that whatever that has just saved $15,000 for their first brand new kitchen. Like that's the feeling I hold on to when I'm selling, right?
Yeah.
Like when I talk to somebody about coming into Inception, the feeling is what is the smile on their face when they do $1 million GP? Like that's what I think about. So I have a process that I go in. And the thing is, that process, it works, you know. So as a salesperson, I would make 100 calls, say, and 15 people would be like, okay, let's continue the conversation. So in my head, I'm going, okay, I I guess weeded out, but I don't know if that's the right verbiage, but I identified 15 ideal customers. And then out of those 15, maybe 10, 7 would close. So that tells me that I didn't really weed out 15 ideal customers. You see what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
if we don't get analytical, I find, anyways, in my belief, if we don't get analytical about our sales sequence, if we don't get analytical about where do people drop off, how on earth do we know where to improve? Like, even as much as an intro, cold call. Like, I have a way I did cold calls. And I realized after the fact, which is crazy, but realizing after the fact, hey, if I change that cold call up 3 years ago, or tested 10 different things 3 years ago, and take the next 4 months. And I know everybody's like, 4 months, it's almost half the year. But what if at the end of the 4 months, you found the perfect sales strategy that works for the next 6 months? Because I think it always changes. Nowadays, the way we sell nowadays, if you're still selling the way you sold 24 months ago, you're losing huge,
yeah,
huge. Because if you don't come to the table with empathy first, and I know Jeffrey talked about this the last stream, where if you don't come to the table with empathy first, you're almost losing, because be aware as to what our customers are going through, our future customers are going through. Whereas 24 months ago, it wasn't as big of a conversation as it is now. I'm not going to say it wasn't there, but it wasn't as big of a conversation because they're still getting 20, 25 calls a week, not 30 a day. Right.
no, that's good.
So as a sales rep, I think it's, like, and so here's my beliefs on it, DJ. And, as a sales rep, if I'm not at the top of my game, and if I don't reach out to people to offer my service that can help them solve their goal, a mission, a big dream, a big ambition, I'm not doing them justice. Like,
Yeah,
and I know, and maybe logistically, it's like the mentality of sales reps is, oh, no, 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 like they got 50,000 people calling them, but you have something unique that no one else has. You can do something so different that no one else has. You might not have found it yet, like you might not have experienced it, you might not have brought it to the surface, but there's something inside of you that next prospect needs you to bring to their table to
yeah,
help them. And I think if we do not consistently go to market and share our message, share our superpowers, I think that we are actually doing a disservice to our entire community. And when I say our community, I mean the world of logistics and transportation and supply chain. Like, which is a big damn community, right? 12% of the world's GDP. That's a big community. Trillions, multiple trillions, right? But
yeah,
as a sales, it's just my belief as a sales. So when I told you I get deep, I get pretty deep because I think I have a different perspective of what this job means. Like, I owe my entire life to the logistics and transportation industry.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
my entire life. I met my soulmate, my wife, in the industry. Like, everything I have is because of this industry. But
yeah,
even above that, the value I've brought to customers, to students, to, like, all of this matters. And I just don't think we as sales reps really put enough attention on that part of our business, right? Like, it's like, okay, I'm comfortable with this sales technique or this intro technique, but how do we know that we can't engage, bring twice as many customers into our world, ideal customers into our world, by making a few tweaks? And I think that's a big question that we need to answer.
Well, and I think you did answer it in a lot of ways with what you said. I mean, so first off, I am going to cheat. We did kind of pre-talk about this, and so you hit on some great points that I
Did I
mean, really,
steal your points that we pre-talked about? I hope
yeah,
not. Did I
no,
steal
no,
those to
no,
make my
not at
thunder look bigger? No? Okay, good.
not at all, not at all. You're good. No, but to hit on your points, I mean, honestly, you you hit on a few even with what you just said there. The analytics, I think that's, I mean, come on, let's. they're talking about analytics in sports. Football uses it all the time. A lot of other things are you. I mean, here I can tell you just Shopify. Giving a shout out to Shopify. Great program, really cool. But they use so many metrics and analytics in their system of how many times somebody clicks something to this and that. Why we're not doing that same uh, deep dive into our results of what we're doing as salespeople. That's, I mean, you being over analytical, I'm the same way. It's so crazy, and I'm surprised Maggie hasn't mentioned anything yet if she is watching, because it's crazy how we are very similar in a lot of ways. But with the analytics, I love numbers. I love breaking, and I think that, to answer, like you said in the beginning, how do we know it works? We don't really know unless we try something else. So
Mm-hmm.
even if we have something that we like, that we know is money, we think, man, this has helped me grow my business, helped me succeed to the highest levels possible. Right now, not switching it, no matter what. How do we know that that's the best thing unless we just try something else? Oh, who said that? We gotta find out who said that. Um,
Like Jay-Z said, men lie, women lie, but numbers don't. I wonder if that's Ryan, because he comes up sometimes as Facebook user and sometimes not.
but
But it's true, numbers don't. I mean,
yeah, results. Sales is a
literally
results
has
driven industry. I mean, literally
approach, be
have
a
to
good
be a
listener,
sales.
listen. Yeah,
That's why
absolutely.
different
Absolutely,
personalities. This
Jeffrey.
one sales approach for one prospect may not be. Yeah. Yes.
Same
Exactly.
approach for there. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah.
No,
And
and that's
it's funny because as you were saying that, I'm thinking back and I'm saying to myself, damn, like how much more can be done
mm,
in less time? And not that we're lazy, but so I remember the first time I heard my man Dean Crook. So for all of you that don't know Dean, you got to follow Dean on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on whatever. DAT. He's the principal analyst at DAT. And I remember being at an event, and Dean was on stage, and he says, "Data is the new oil." And have you ever like blurted something out and then went and looked around and went, "Oh my God, did I just say that out loud?" And I'm sitting there, and as he said it, I went, "Ooh, that's good." And like I'm in the middle of a conference, and everybody stops, and there's me. I'm like, and I look
uh,
to the person I'm with, and I'm like, "Did I just say that out loud?" He's like, "Dude, you just did that, like, and loud." But data is the new oil. Like to
mhm,
me, for the last 3 years, 3.5 years, that has been ringing in my head. But how much data? Okay, so we have data because we have systems
yep.
tell us customers' freight, average margin, on time delivery, like all those KPIs or whatever we want to consider the new wave deal of what we need to measure.
Yep.
But how much data do we keep on and then this is something for every one of you watching, listening, whether you're on the podcast, whether you're live, I don't care where you are right now. How much data do you keep or do you track on your day to day? And to me, that's critical. Like
Yep.
and I'm talking something simple. Like if you don't have a system that tells you how many outbound calls you made today, you just simply write lines down. Every call you make, write a line down. You take those lines
Yep.
and you say, okay, this week I made 300 sales calls, whatever the number is, 100 sales calls, 300 sales calls. And you do that every week. And then you measure your customers, you measure your loads per week with your profits, your average profit per load, average cost of an acquisition of a customer. So if it takes you a month to close a deal, then your month salary or whatever you get paid in a month is your cost of acquisition, in my
Yep.
opinion. But just taking an extra couple of minutes and maybe even 20 minutes a day out to measure all of this and say, okay, like I made 500 calls this month. I've got 4 really good prospects. I got no closes. Okay. Next month, I made 300 calls. I got 12 really good prospects and I got 2 closes. Why? And I think if we ask ourselves questions like that, we actually, like, I honestly think we get better. because it challenges us to critically think, right? So I made 500 last month. Oh, you know what it is? It takes me 30 days to warm the customer up to become a hot lead. How can I do that in 2 weeks? Right? Just something as simple as that, and saying, okay, how can I warm them up in 2 weeks? Maybe do I have to add a new follow-up between follow-up process? Maybe I have to double down on it. Maybe I have to look at a different industry. Maybe I have to qualify better and say to myself, okay, out of the 500 calls I'm going to make this month, if I can qualify 95% of the customers within 2 weeks, it frees me up 95% of that time for the next 2 weeks to requalify another X amount, right? And I think this is the only way. So again, personally, I truly believe this is the only way for us to be the best we can be, because we don't know there's another level. And I remember um, Bob Proctor saying, I was at an event and he says, how do you know a good paycheck if you never got a bad paycheck? It's true. If you've never had a bad paycheck, how do you know what a good commission check is if you've never had a bad commission check, or hell, no commission check, right?
Yeah.
Like, how do you know a good day from a bad day? You know what a good day is versus a bad day because you've had bad days.
Yep.
But if you have this singular focus, like a racehorse with blinders on, and you're going right, like we're all going, and I know I'm very animated. We all go towards this finish line, but as we're going towards this finish line, yeah, I know. Eh? As we're going towards this finish line, stop and say, what if? Just what if? And I don't believe personally, if there's VPs out there or other people, and I might be ruining a lot of future business for myself, but I believe we need to give salespeople a lot of rope to test and try. Because I would rather take the next 12 months, test and try, and find something that closes me 3 times as many deals, a process, a strategy, and whatever, and then the next 12 months closing 3 times as many deals because I'm still 10 times up, right? If I close 30%, 3 times as many deals in 12 months, and I take a year to do it, in that end of that 24 months, instead of doing, 2 times, I still got an extra 10 times the deals, or I don't know what that math is, but because I'm going fast, but you know what I'm saying? So in the first 24 months, instead of closing 200, you close 300. Because, and Einstein said it best. He says, you give me an hour to chop a tree down, 55 minutes, I'm going to sharpen the axe. So how do we sharpen our axe to get better results in our business? Because again, and I'm sorry, DJ, I know I'm going off here, but this is a career. This isn't a job. You're not punching a time clock. You're not trading your time for money. Because those of you that are trading your time for money, you have the ability to endless resources, endless funds, and a lifestyle that is just the tip of the iceberg. Just the tip of the iceberg. Because the value you can bring to the table by doing this is immense. Meaning, if you have that perspective, and again, this perspective is not you call a customer and you're thinking, how much commission am I going to make? This is a true, how can I be of value? How could I be the person they go to that's going to help them achieve their goals? And if we as salespeople sit down and say, what is the mission? What's the goal? Why? Very aggressive. Okay, are you ready? And go through all of this. We can only do it if we test and try and say, okay, that didn't work. Great. Now I know which way I cannot go. But that worked like gangbusters. Because, DJ, I don't know about you, but when I first started in this industry, man, I had, I would go to people, how do I get more business? They go, well, just make more phone calls. Okay, but the idea is not to go from 8 to 15 hours a day making phone calls. That is not the strategy. Long-term growth.
Work smarter, not harder. They say it for a reason.
Yeah,
work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
But there's a few good ones. Yes, and to the point, you got to try, and that's got to. But you got to try everything. Yes, but to Dan's point, if you just are trying, and you really aren't sticking to a certain idea or concept and really tracking it, and anybody who has been in the in-home sales industry, hold on, what is it? I used the term back in the late 80s.
Yeah, this is actually really good.
Information poor. throw
Yeah.
that back out there. You may have
Yeah.
all the
Go
data
finish
and
what
all.
you were saying, because then I want
Yeah,
to address these two comments. Finish what you're
but,
saying there, DJ, because both of these
but
comments are absolutely astronomical.
yes, they're both good, and so it totally threw me off because I seen them. But yes, what I was saying was just the following the concepts, and anybody who's been in the industry has heard this term, reducing to the ridiculousness, and that's what they did with financing. That's why I finance everything. You don't, when you go sell windows, you're not selling the price tag of $30,000 for the windows. You're selling the price tag of $200 a month for 30 years. Who knows? Whatever. But you're selling a number, a small number. You got to do the same thing with goals. If you just set long-term big goals and you are just waiting to the end to decide if you hit them or not, and you're not tracking those daily and to the smallest amount of to the hour goal, to the minute goal, I mean, to the ridiculousness, setting your goals that way and really tracking yourself, you'll never know you're behind till it's too late. And that's where, so yes, try something new, but then also track it. You got to really track it. See if what you have been doing is working. But then, okay, now these are my results. So if you find a new concept, new idea from Dan's going to give you a lot of great stuff. Find something that Dan just said. Prior to, again, giving you guys a little insight to the behind the curtains conversations here. But before this, we went live. Dan was talking about took a call with one of the students in the program, trying to tweak his idea of who to go after, gave him a little guidance and something to say, just word for word what to say. Now, if he uses that for 2 weeks, but he first does what he's been doing and really tracks down to the ridiculousness, what he's the same approach he's been doing for 2 weeks, and then tries the new strategy, totally goes away from everything before, tries the new strategy, and now compares. Now you can tell, okay, is it working or is it not? Did it do anything different? In sales, it's not how many hours we're putting in, guys. It's results. Results is all that matters in this. If you can make $30 million in sales in 2 hours, and it takes somebody else 10 years to make $30 million in sales, did the person who put work in for 10 years, are they more valuable because they worked for 10 years to do the 30 million? 2 hours, it's still $30 million in sales. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it's that part of, I think, us as individuals. It's that striving, it's that desire, and I'd like to. Hey, there's Austin. Good morning, Austin. Glad you made it, my
What's up,
friend.
Austin?
Um,
Yeah, go
so
back to those.
this is something, and we think it's Ryan. So you've got to try everything. I sent 15 videos this morning to LinkedIn Connection and got 5 replies, but it's not the same as emails or calls. Got to tweak as you go. 100%. And Ryan's talking about a strategy that is the connection video strategy, that you go and you do something different, and people are loving it. I mean, there was a point to just when COVID hit where I was close to 78% conversion. I mean, 78% of the videos I sent, I got meetings with people. That's
Wow.
dropped a bit, as you can see, 5 connections. So I mean, but still, I mean, Ryan, your 5 connections, man, you're almost at 50%. Like, that's golden. 50%
Yeah.
of people reply, that means it's a connection. Now, whether that reply is, hey, not interested, okay. So then what do? We test the same video, meaning the same verbiage, the same strategy, for a week. We said, okay, we did 100 this week. We got 30 replies or 50 replies. Next week, we do 100. We get 20 replies. Okay, the first one was better. So now
Yeah.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to take more essence of the first one, add it to the third one. And within a month, you've tried 4 strategies. Whatever one works best, use that for maybe 50% of month 2. So if you're doing 100 a day, 50 of them are the strategy that converts at 50% or 60%, and the other 50 you're testing new strategies. It's why people do web pages that are called split testing, because they're like, okay, this headline is going to associate with different people, this headline, like, it's even to the point where, like, from a digital marketing perspective, and I know for a lot of people when I say digital marketing, they're like, but that has nothing to do with
Yeah.
transportation. But the strategies are, like, the
Strategies are
testing strategies are
yeah.
killer
Yeah.
killer in digital
Absolutely.
marketing, because they say, you have a message for a cold audience, you have a message for a hot audience, and you have a message for a warm audience and a message for a hot audience. So I ask you as a sales rep, what is your message, your core essence for a cold audience? What is your core essence for a warm audience? And how do you sell differently to a hot audience? And some people might say, well, Dan, the hot audience, I close. No, closing is the next logical step in the sales sequence. So how do you sell differently to those three markets? Because they're very different markets. If you're posting social and you're posting social because you're saying, I want to drive more business, then you have to post a cold social, a warm social, and a hot social.
Yep.
And the hot prospects will not associate with the cold social. And they shouldn't, because it's not what you want.
Mm-hmm.
You want the hot prospect. So if that's I'm building my image, credibility, and brand in the industry, posting to those hot prospects that are going to Google you when you're about to close deals or when you're about to walk in the door are going to see, Dan's got an opinion on this situation. Whether I agree with it or not, Dan's got an opinion. That's a hot topic. A cold one would be like you see a lot of the times where you're introducing yourself, right? Maybe that's your video message, your cold video message. Hey, these are my core pillars. These are my 3 or 4 pillars that I believe in. If this is something you believe in, let's connect. See if we're congruent, see if we get along as individuals, then let's talk. No expectations, just let's have a conversation.
Yep.
That's a cold message. A warm message is, I loved our conversation, man. You know what? When you said this and this is what I thought of. Here's an article that is so in line with that. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to talk again. That's a warm message. You see, so the messaging and the content, if you will, on every end is different. And only until we do, like I can't tell you how many, and I know I'm jumping hard today. Wow.
No,
I
you're
can't tell
good.
you how many times I've lost deals because I got way too deep too quick. Like lost deals,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
totally deer in a headlight, way over people's heads. Because so and DJ, this is the big reason why I said to myself, I need to come up with a strategy that's going to keep me in line. Because as you can tell, sometimes I get passionate and I keep going. And I go maybe beyond the point I should. And I've
yeah.
done it my whole life. I try and change, it ain't happening. I have to set frameworks in my mind in order to keep
Yeah,
it from happening. That's why I created the baseball diamond framework. Because I
yeah.
said on first base, I have to qualify the customer. I can't try and sell the customer till I qualify the customer. And I can't tell you how many times I ran to first and I cut across the pitcher mound. You're out. Lose the business, lose the deal, right?
Yes.
And then second base was figuring out why they buy. When I'm on third base, my only focus is, how do I fulfill the why? How do I do that?
Yep.
And that's kept me in line without going over, right? Because a phone call where we're in our head, we're going, yeah, man, this is going good. I'm going to go in for the kill. And it's like, whoa, dude,
Yeah,
we just
yeah,
met. Like,
yeah.
nah, man. Like, no, like I'm not interested in spending money right now. I want a conversation. I want to get to know you. I want to understand that what your mission, your values align with what my company, my corporation, my department needs to meet. If that works, now we've got a hot message to talk about, right?
Yep. Dude.
So then we go to Jeffries, and we're getting around to everybody. Sorry. I use a term back in the late 80s, the phrase drip, data rich, information poor. You may have all the data in the world, but it's what you do with it that counts. Create value added information. Yes, from the data you purge so that you can help now it doesn't show all of it, so bear with me 1 second. So you can help the
I'll read it.
prospect to drive their business forward. 100%, brother. 100%.
Yes.
Yeah. And then
Yes.
Ryan's come back here saying, yeah, I read something that sales is actually easy. It's simple making a system and following through every single day. We tend to overcomplicate it. 100%. 100%. It's crazy how much we actually overcomplicate it. And so I'll make a challenge to every sales rep that is realizing their business is overcomplicated. Figure out why. And here's why I say this. So when I started in this industry, I was working graveyard shift, buffing pewter keychains, right? So like your fingers would get torn up from the friggin' wheels, right? And I think minimum wage was like $6 an hour or something when I was doing it. So I go and think of this mindset shift, okay? I go from buffering keychains to going on unemployment to meeting an individual in Canada that great person saw way more in me than I thought I had in me. Um, and I walk into his company, and we're talking, 2 weeks kind of shift. So it's a real mind screw for 2 weeks. And I
Oh
sit
yeah.
down with people, and they're saying, "I'll give you $5,000 for that." I'm like, "What? 5 grand? You're gonna just get?" And I'm listening to the amount of money changing hands. It's not money; it's just words.
Yeah.
But it's like it's like digits that change from one thing to another, right?
Yeah.
And I remember sitting down, and his name was Craig, and I sat down. And Craig, if you're watching, brother, love you, man. And I remember him saying, "Well, I just made $1,200 on that load." And I went, "What? Hold on." I went, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, hold on here. From the time that load came in, it was 7 minutes, and you made $1,200." He goes, "Yeah." And there I was, breaking my fingers, my back, leaning over this buffer thing for 11 hours on graveyard shift, like killing myself for $6 now. And you just made $1,200? He goes, "Yeah." I go, "I'm sold, man. Like I'm into this business." But you know what it was, DJ, is when I started making five, six, and for all of you listening, like, don't get me wrong here. I know margins are eroded in today's day and age. We're talking when like US exchange rate was like 165 or 157. And our mission was to get US clients using like the YRCs, the Yellows of the world, the Roadway, and all these major US companies was using their trucks. They just couldn't compete with the Canadian dollar because we would make like 46% more money just because of the exchange rate, right? So that was the mission. So I mean, there was times you're pocketing $2,500 load, and you're still saving the customer $700 or $800 over some of the big U.S. carriers. Now, obviously, the playing field's leveled these days, but like, so it was a different world. So when I say these numbers, please don't take it as we were screwing anyone over. But I will tell you, I was that sales rep that, hey, it's all about what comes into my pocket. I didn't care about helping the customer achieve the goals at that point in time in my life. It was all about, hey, how can I make more money, more money, more money, more money. So what happened at that point was I looked at it and I started looking, okay, I'm making 5, 6, 7 G's a week, but I'm working like 4 hours a day. I said, this can't be right. So actually, I overcomplicated my own sales. I did it to myself because sales is a baseline. This is what I need. Can you solve the problem? Yes. Here's the exchange of funds. That's it. I have a feeling I need for this solution being solved. It's not even the function of it. It's the feeling that comes with it. I have a feeling I want a dopamine drip. I want a serotonin drip from this feeling happening, from this thing happening, this goal being accomplished. Can you accomplish it? Yes. Let's go. That's really the baseline of sales. So
Yeah.
I overcomplicated it huge, like to the point where I was like, okay, we need to add this and this and this and this and this. I made like a plain pasta sauce into a jambalaya.
Yeah.
Right now, I love jambalaya. Don't get me wrong, right?
That's
But
good stuff.
when you're trying to have pasta and you try and pour jambalaya on your pasta, it doesn't work, right? So, and that's probably a really bad analogy because jambalaya on pasta really works well. But
Good morning,
I hope
Jared.
I hope y'all understand what I'm trying to get across.
No, listen, you're feeling it right now. You're feeling it. There's so much excitement on this, and I get and here to back to again, how do we know it's working? Is really what this is all about, and it's just different strategies, guys. And how do we know it's working? The easiest way is track it. Figure out a strategy, stick to the strategy, give it time to work, let it give its play out. But you got to have numbers to compare it against. If you try something new and you're not comparing it to what you were doing previous because you weren't keeping track previous, well, then that's what I said. Like I said, take the next 2 weeks, reduce it down, track your results, stick to your same routine you've been doing, and then find a new routine, find a new strategy, if you don't know any, that's a perfect time to sign up for one of Dan's programs, and he'll teach you lots. And then just use one. use it, try it for a couple weeks. You like the results, maybe tweak it. Like Jeff and both Ryan, I'm pretty sure that's Ryan, both said,
Mhm.
tweak it. You just want to tweak it then. All you This is falling in line with everything we talk as you don't want to be a robot. You don't want scripts. Everybody asking for scripts or email scripts, phone call scripts, all of these things. You just want to use those as baselines to then tweak to where it's comfortable for you, because it has to come out of and from you, like you're talking just to a friend or somebody else. You don't want it to sound, the minute you sound like that telemarketer calling
Oh, you're
you,
toast. You're done.
you're
You're
done.
done.
Or you hear that. I mean, you hear people say it. Anybody who still is calling with their phone on speaker and then picking up as they finally make connection, people know what that means. Use a Bluetooth headset. Invest in yourself. This is a little PSA for me. Use a Bluetooth headset. Get a Bluetooth headset, because now you're not, and then they hear all that. They know. And sometimes they're hanging up before you even, because they know you're dialing for dollars. Some sitting there dialing people. That's why it's taking you a second to pick up, because you're surprised you even got somebody on the line. Think of what they're
So
thinking.
what I did there, DJ, while
Before.
you were talking, is I just actually posted both on Facebook and LinkedIn
It's I
a
did see
link to get
it.
a 30-minute call free to
Free,
talk about these strategies. And
free,
I hope
guys,
it doesn't
free.
backfire
There's
on
no
me here.
catches. Listen, I can tell you this is no infomercial either. Free. It literally is free. Even the program, Dan will figure out a way to work it out if you like what he has to say. But it's free. It really is free. And I can tell you, just from his little phone call he had with one of us currently in the program, to help him come up with a strategy to tweak for the next and test out for the next couple weeks. He was able to do that in just a 30-minute phone call, guys. Make the call, give him a chance, let him, just give him the struggles that you're having, and you'll see if it works or not. But again, you got it. It's all about tracking. It is about the analytics. If you're not into this, if you're not into what we do here, whether it's the logistics side of sales or any sales that you're doing, if you're not into sales into that way that you really want to dig down into, or you're not in, for that matter, anything that you are doing, find something else that you really do like that much, that you want to uh, make it a career, not a job. Make it a career. We keep saying that, but it's really, that's what it is. I can't, salespeople. I'm gonna go into my rant a little bit, and then Dan, you can
Go
have.
for it.
But I thought to talk about it, and I don't know that we need a long session except this, guys. Sales is not some. What really drove me. I've done sales my whole life. Okay, retail sales to in-home sales to now over the phone, telemarketing, whatever you want to call it, logistics sales. Okay. Uh, Sales is sales. It's all about a transfer of emotion and making a friend and them liking you enough to trust you and seeing that there's value there. Sometimes you'll buy from people you don't like. So, but it fixes the problem. That's just the case. Okay. But sales is not this evil thing that everybody thinks it is. The snake oil sales guys, you're just trying to take as much money from people as you can, and you're not really helping them. Dan, you want to know the true salesperson? Dan, his explanation of the him bringing the value of bringing down that expensive product, like he was shipping in the beginning. He told that story, and now they can afford that $15,000 worth of product because he helped reduce that down. That is a salesperson. Everybody wins with a real salesperson. Anybody else is just a con artist. Zig Ziglar talks about it. Zig got me into it big time. And Grant, same thing. I've been told my whole life, get a real job. Sales is not a real job. Let me tell you, sales is a real job. Sales is by far an amazing job if you believe in it, like I'm telling you, and not the con artist or the snake oil salesman back in the day. Listen, we will always have those people, guys. They'll always be there. It's even easier now with the internet. Oh, buy this. We have them in my group, guys. You see it all the time. Oh, pay $10 for this shipping list. They're probably giving you some shit that doesn't do anything for anybody, but they're seeing how many people they can make $10 from real quick, because
Mm-hmm.
then now they're on to their next scheme. That's a con artist, not a salesperson. That know the
So
difference. Know the difference.
I love that passion that just came out in you, brother. That was that was
Sorry.
intense. So I got a quick story about passion, and I know we got to get moving because I'm running up to our time. But I've always been, well, not always. In the latter part of my career, it's always been that passion, and what are we truly passionate about in our business? And as a coach, somebody who inspires people, somebody who motivates people. When I had my team, I would always sit and I'd say, "What are you passionate about? Like, let's get passionate about the industry." And I remember this gentleman, I'm going to call him Mike, come into my office, and he says, "Dan, I'm just not feeling it." I go, and for about 40 minutes, we had a major in-depth conversation about passion. And like, logistics is a career. If this is a stepping stone and it's something you're not going to be passionate about and you truly don't care about customers, you're never going to make it. Like, you're just going to get consumed with all the friction and the issues in the industry. You're never going to make it. And we have this conversation. I said, the passion for what you do is everything. And if you don't have passion, get out of your career. I said, like, whatever it is, if you don't have passion for it, like, I don't know the statistics, but I think it's like 92% of everybody hates their job. Like, that's crazy. Why would you want
I
to go do
believe.
something every day that you hate?
Why?
And so Mike, this is a Friday, and he leaves my office. He says, "You don't understand. This conversation has changed my world." And I'm like, "Awesome, man." And here I am the whole weekend thinking, this dude's coming out Monday morning. He's going to kill it. Like, we just created the ultimate salesman, because he was a great salesman. Comes in Monday morning, says, "Okay, I thought about it all week." And I go, "Awesome. What are you going to do?" He goes, "I'm handing in my resignation." I go, "What?" He wanted to be a cop. So here's the thing is, when he
There's his
first did
passion.
it,
That's his,
I was like, no, but hold on. My perspective on it, I was like, "Oh shit. Like, that's not my job. My job isn't to have people quit my department. My job is to build them up." And I'm thinking, I did it all wrong. I did it all wrong. I did it all wrong. And it's funny because, like, literally within 6 months, he was hired on at Peel Police. And I got the whole way through his training, his courses, everything. I would get texts from him. I would get
That's
texts from him.
awesome.
It was probably a year, not 6 months. I would get texts from him. "Thank you so much. You don't understand." When he became a cop, I got a text from him and said, like, "You are the reason I'm living my dream job." And I went, "Whoa." like I was
Change everything,
blown
right?
away. But passion is everything. Like, in sales, especially in sales. And I know all y'all, Gary, good morning, brother. Sorry we didn't get to your comment earlier, but good morning from Hope, Arkansas. Gary's saying, like, if we don't have passion, if we don't have a true passion, a true desire for what we do, I'm sorry, we won't bother testing. We will do the very minimum amount so we don't get fired. We will complain when we can't afford that thing we really want, or that experience we want to show our family or our kids or whatever. Like, all of these things start encompassing, but it's because you're not passionate. When all of a sudden passion kicks in, it's like hours turn into minutes, right?
Yep.
Like we're sitting here, it's 10:45 a.m. I'm looking at what I've already done this morning, and the lives I've helped change or get better. And it's like, yeah, that's what this
Yes.
is all about. That's what
Yep.
it's all about. And how many, so now here we are. Ryan talked about sending 15 messages out already. How many of you have had in the last, so just 10:46 a.m. So what are we talking? 2 hours, 2.5 hours that people have actually been working in the
Yeah.
last 2.5 hours. How many people have you connected with to try and change their life? And I know some people are going to say, "Oh, come on, Dan, I move freight." But you know
Yes.
what? I've seen
But
lives change. And I've told you all the story about my customer. When we reduced the merge, he got his first ever bonus check and bought his kids a pool. And that changed his life. And this is the part, DJ, I was telling you right at the beginning, where people are like, "Well, you're pretty deep." But why else? Why would you want to be anything else? Like
Yes.
if your customers
If you
feel
don't
that
feel that same way
passion,
about this, yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, same thing. So one of my largest customers, besides obviously being there for them, they had a big issue with so they do move a lot for the USDA. USDA gives a tricky thing with foods. And the receivers make it very difficult with the windows. So your windows are very tight and very difficult to hitting deadlines. And they hit these companies with big fees. So he said, man, before me getting into this position, we were getting killed by USDA fees. We had so much in fees, nobody was getting bonuses. Well, that's the only reason I've been a customer, they've been a customer of mine since I landed them, was ever since I got involved, my main goal besides, and it wasn't just to save them on money. That's not, them saving money isn't necessarily me making money, but it's helping them. And by helping them, it's helping the USDA. The stuff's getting there on time, and everybody's happy. But it's when you really look into that instead of, oh, well, how many loads do I have and how much am I going to make? And that's when that's all that matters.
so above and beyond that, DJ, think of the feeling your
Oh,
customer has.
yeah.
And above and beyond the bonus check and all that, the feeling, the core feeling that they have in working with you. Like that is everything. Everything. And when we tap into that, you have unlimited potential in this market. Period. Zip zilch. End it there. Exclamation point. When
So,
you tap into that, everything changes. When you pick up the phone, it's no longer a, oh, I got to sell again. It's, oh my God, I can't wait to tell this next prospect about how we like I
yes.
can't wait to share what we could possibly do if we connect, or how I can change that feeling, or how I can figure out how to give them the thing they've always wanted. Like that, everyone listening, watching, do you feel that difference? Oh, I got to make a sales call. How can I give them that feeling that I just had another customer experience? That is everything. Like you look at doctors, the best doctors in the world, the best surgeons in the world are the ones that say, when my customer, because again, we're customers, not patients, we're customers, leaves here with that, oh, I'm better. Like
Yes.
those are the best doctors on the planet. I don't know if you, for all of you watching, um, there's a show out right now called Doctor Death, and I won't get into the details of it. But if you watch the actual like a docu series one of it, and I think it's like on every Sunday, so they got like one out. They had like 4 or 5 people last week, and every one of them said the clinching line was when the doc. And this doctor was horrible. Like he paralyzed people, he killed people. Like he was the worst doctor. But it was what he said. He says, "I'll fix you." That's what people want. People want the fix. There's issues. They want that person to bring that person into the world that can help them fix those issues. And
Yes.
now, I mean, obviously, it might be a horrible analogy. I just used it because the big catch was "I'll fix you," because he was just a liar, cheat, just a disgusting human being. But like you, that professional sales rep that is out there to help, truly, genuinely help your customers, that's gold. And if you
Yep.
can get that across as soon as possible, you will have no issues in this industry. None.
How do you
None
know it's
that
working?
you can't
Track
solve.
it. How do you know it's working? Track it. Track. Keep track, guys. Keep track of it. Success doesn't come right away. That's it. You got to track it.
Hmm.
Keep track of everything. I do
But it
have
leaves clues if you're looking for it.
yes, exactly. It
And you
does,
got to
guys.
look for it. If you don't look for what you're tracking, you'll never find it, guys. And ladies.
Yes.
Sorry.
Thank you guys, everybody, for joining again. Use those
Have a good
links.
day.
Set up that 30-minute call. I do have a quote I will end us with on this time. So this is by Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yeah, I'm a man.
I like his 4 a.m. videos. If you haven't seen those are good. But success isn't always about greatness. It's about consistency. Consistent hard work leads to success. Greatness will come.
Love it. Have a great day, everybody.